is, let's say there's a pastor who would say, well, we don't talk about politics from the pulpit. What would be your response to try to persuade them that that's not really even a biblical way to approach shepherding their people?
Yeah, exactly. There were a number of things I would say to them. I would say, if you think the gospel is important as I do, then you better think politics are important, because politics affects your ability to preach and live the gospel. If you don't think so, go to some of the countries I've been to. I've been to Iran, I've been to Saudi Arabia, I've been to China. You can't legally set up the church, certainly not in Iran or Saudi Arabia, like you have here in America. Why? Because politically they've ruled it out. In China, they will crush the evangelical church. So politics, if for no other reason you have to be involved, you have to be involved to protect your ability to preach and live the gospel. Charlie used to say it this way: politics is not our first responsibility, but it's something that affects our first responsibility. So you have to be engaged. Our friend Josh Howerton puts it this way. He says, politics affects policy and policy affects people, and we're to care about people. If we're going to love our neighbors and ensure that the government protects innocent people from evil, which is the number one rule of government or responsibility of government, if that's what the government's supposed to do, and it is, and we have the ability to affect our government, we would be negligent if we didn't use our ability to influence our government for good. Why wouldn't we do that? Are we just supposed to allow the atheists to run the country? Where does that come from? That doesn't make any sense at all. We have to be engaged because we love people. We're supposed to be salt and light. Jesus said, occupy till I come. Jesus said, love your neighbor. How do you love your neighbor in politics? You ensure that laws are put into place that protect them from evil. And it was James Madison who said it so well in Federalist 51. He's really the father of our Constitution in terms of the Bill of Rights. He said, if men were angels, no government would be necessary. If men were angels, no government would be necessary. Would we need a government if we were all angels and we always acted rightly all the time? No, we wouldn't need a government at all. The reason we need a government is because we are fallen, we are sinful. And so we need an authority, as Romans 13 puts it, an authority who can use the sword to punish wrongdoers and protect innocent people from evil. And Christians ought to be engaged in selecting those people, or actually being those people. And the whole separation of church and state nonsense is just that, it's nonsense. What it means is that the government of the church ought not be the government of the country. In other words, the Pope ought not be the president. Okay, we get that. We're not after that. But we want Christians to be engaged in government and maybe be Caesar without imposing a particular religion, without saying you have to be a Christian in order to be a member of this society. We don't want to impose religion. We do want to impose morality, and that's what all laws do.
Right.
Every law is trying to impose morality. So we have to impose morality, but we can impose morality without saying you got to be a member of this denomination or this particular church. You can be an atheist and be in this country, but we're still going to say you ought not murder people. You ought not mutilate children. You ought not rape. You ought not steal. We're still going to say all that stuff because that's what governments are supposed to do. And Christians ought to be involved in selecting the people that do that.